Over the years, New Jersey has contributed its fair share to the world. In this episode of Destination Anywhere, we're going to take a look at some notable inventions that come out of the Garden State. This list will focus mainly on inventions that make everyday life easier or more fun. The list won't focus on critical health breakthroughs from New Jersey, like the isolation of streptomycin, an antibiotic used to treat tuberculosis, the plague, or everyone's favorite, rat bite fever. There are several other important medical discoveries that came from the Garden State, but that will be on another list by someone else some other time. Anyway, before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to the Mickey Shuffle for more videos about history, mysteries, and other weird stuff. With that said, let's get to the list. One of the struggles in everyday life is using sharp objects without allowing them to pierce your skin. Unfortunately, from time to time this does occur, and if you're healthy then blood starts to pour everywhere. Thankfully, most of us have a quick and handy solution to this issue, the Band-Aid, and we can all thank Josephine Dixon of Highland Park for her cooking injuries in the 1920s. You see, Josephine's husband, Earl Dixon, was tired of patching his wife up every day when he was trying to listen to the game in the other room. He eventually had the idea of folding some gauze to make a pad, and then putting a piece of medical tape behind it. This way, Josephine could wrap the injury herself, and he could get back to what he was doing. Soon, Earl decided to bring the invention to the company he worked for, Johnson & Johnson, who realized this was a great idea. Eventually, Johnson & Johnson would sell tons of Band-Aids to the US military, and slowly they would catch on. Today you can find some sort of Band-Aid in most medicine cabinets across the country. And we can all thank that dangerous kitchen in Highland Park that helped encourage Earl Dixon's ingenuity. Everybody hates waiting online at the grocery store. But we can all thank Atlantic City-born inventor Norman Joseph Woodland for making the line go a little quicker. The story goes that in 1948, Woodland's pal and fellow Drexel University grad Bernard Silver heard a supermarket head was looking for a way to scan items quickly and accurately at the checkout line. Basing his idea around the same concept used in Morse code, Woodland began work formulating a plan for this technology. After drawing early designs in sand at the beach while staying at his grandfather's apartment in Florida, the work finally paid off in 1952, as Woodland and Silver were awarded a patent for two versions of their design of the Barcode. The pair would eventually sell the patent for $15,000, but a few years later, Woodland would help design the UPC code that we still use today. So try to think about this Jersey boy's hard work next time you're zooming through the checkout line if that ever actually happens. Well, it never happens, so just forget about it. Imagine one day you go into work, the same place you go every day, doing the same things you always do, and then one of those days something goes wrong. Then imagine the something that went wrong was actually a scientific advancement that would impact cooking, clothing, and even human travel in outer space. Well, this is the very situation that happened to chemist Roy J. Plunkett while working for DuPont at their Jackson laboratory in Deepwater, New Jersey. In April of 1938, Plunkett and his assistant were running tests on a refrigerant gas called tetrafluoroethylene, or TFE. When one of the testing cylinders seemed to act abnormally, they decided to take a closer look. When they opened the cylinder, they discovered a white powder that they were unfamiliar with. This powder was assigned the lab code K416 and quickly became the focus of Plunkett's curiosity. After running numerous tests, Plunkett discovered that the substance was extremely slippery and could stand up to intense heat. Soon, the mystery substance was officially called PTFE, and it gained one of the more common names you know it by today, Teflon. Today you can find PTFE used in all walks of life, from plumbing and wiring to clothing, and most commonly non-stick cookware. So next time you're making your morning eggs, you can thank Roy Plunkett and his work in New Jersey for making those eggs slide right out of the pan. Most New Jersey lovers know one of the state's greatest exports is Campbell's soup. But what you might not know is that it was the idea of condensed soup that led to Campbell's becoming one of the most successful food companies in American history. Originally born in Camden in 1869, Campbell's was known for canning tomatoes, meats, and other condiments besides their soups. By 1897, the company recognized that they could cut costs and lower prices on their products if they could eliminate some of their shipping costs. Thanks to chemist John T. Dorrance, they were able to do just that. Dorrance figured out that if they removed some of the water, they could shrink the can. Once purchased, the customer could add the water back themselves and enjoy a full can with full flavor. Right around the time they condensed the soup, and inspired by the Cornell football team's uniform colors of red and white, the company implemented the now famous color pattern that's become a part of American culture. While condensing soup would become a popular trend in the food landscape over the years, those other successors have the New Jersey-based company to thank for bringing the idea to the forefront of the food industry. Nothing's worse than being cramped up in a tight movie theater seat for 2 hours during a film. Nowadays, there's reclining chairs, stadium seating, and some places even have waiters to take your order and your wallet. But back in the 1930s, there was no cable TV and plenty of tight movie theater seating. It was Richard Hollingshead's desire to improve his mom's movie viewing comfort that led to the creation of an American icon, the drive-in movie theater. After tinkering with the logistics of how to park the cars, how to get audio to the viewers, and accounting for inclement weather, Hollingshead opened the first ever patented drive-in movie theater in Pennsauken Township, Camden County in 1933. Within a few years, the idea would go nationwide, and there were as many as 4,000 drive-in theaters across the country by the 1950s, as the concept of seeing a movie in your car became an American institution. I personally remember pounding back some Yoo-Hoo in the back of my family car while wearing my pajamas at a drive-in in Hazlitt. Anyway, as we all know, the drive-in sadly began to disappear, and there's now less than 400 across the country and just one in New Jersey. Regardless, we can thank one of New Jersey's own for the start of America's fascination with the drive-in. If you want to talk about candy, there aren't many more popular in the world than M&Ms. With its hard chocolate shell, this candy is famously known to melt in your mouth, not in your hand. And while that's one of the most well-known candy taglines of all time, it's the reality of it that turned the confectionery creation into an American phenomenon. Legend has it that candy tycoon and all-around food magnate Forrest Mars Sr. saw soldiers eating a similar candy during the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s. Mars wouldn't forget the idea and eventually collaborated with investor Bruce Murray to bring this idea to the next level. Using the first letter of each man's last name, the M&M was born, and the company began production in the Clinton Hill section of Newark in 1941. The candy was an instant hit with the U.S. military, and was even packaged in rations during World War II, thanks to its ability to stay solid in hot temperatures. After the war ended, M&Ms were finally marketed to the general public, and it was off to the races from there. As production continued to boom, the company eventually moved to Hackettstown, where it's maintained a factory ever since. All these years later, who would have believed that the success of this tiny chocolate started in the Garden State? Well, that's gonna do it for this list. Let me know in the comments if you have any other Garden State inventions that you want to mention. And since you're messing around in the comments already, why don't you scroll up a bit, click that like button, and while you're there, click on the subscribe button too. Anyway, until next time, take it easy and thanks for watching.